think it's interesting at this point because there's two very different views on what we should do in order to help the UK economy. Do you keep taxes high? Do you follow through with that implementation of the national insurance hike? You follow through with the rise in corporation tax? Or because you need to, actually keep inflation down, you need to keep those that money coming into the Treasury to keep those services running? Or, like Liz Truss is suggesting, you borrow in order to provide tax cuts for people, which potentially gives them more money to spend, but could increase inflation. Does Rishi Sunak? It could grow the economy. Does Rishi Sunak's policy cause stagnation because everyone's going, I'm feeling the pinch, and you're taking more money off me? I actually don't know what the right answer is, but it's kind of interesting now because it's a genuine question about what is the best thing for the economy, rather than something that's about sort of party political infighting.
But it's also about what's best for those people who are really struggling now, isn't it? Cost of living crisis, they have more money in their pockets.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of Rishi Sunak, but I do think he has a point in terms of the biggest cost of living issue at the moment is inflation. So inflation is about 9-10% at the moment, and tax cuts. I mean, most of the experts seem to agree that tax cuts would be inflationary. Inflation would likely go up more. I don't think that the national insurance increase was the best tax rise because that's hitting working people. There would have been better ways to raise income, I think, than that. But I think Liz Truss, I think, peddling this kind of fantasy economics because she's also talking about mass savings from public services by cutting bureaucracy. I mean, this is something politicians always say, this idea that there's masses of bureaucracy that can just be cut. And I don't think there is anymore. I think David Cameron and George Osborne cut a lot of that in the past decade. And, I think she's peddling this kind of fantasy economics to win support.
Which is going to appeal more to the people who have a vote? Well, and that's the Conservative
the tax cuts,
faithful.
I think.
The tax cuts probably, because it's much more of a sort of conservative heartland policy. But that's the thing that troubles me, that actually these are policies being peddled to appeal to, the 200,000 Conservative Party members, rather than what you actually want from a governing Prime Minister, which will say what is best for everybody in our country, what is best for our country on an international stage, not just will this appeal to people enough that I'll get the job, and then will this appeal to people enough that I'll keep my job when the general election comes up? Because when you make an economic policy like this, you actually want leaders who can show leadership based on evidence, based on the advice of experts,